Do we do a countdown? We are live. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Danforth. I'm here with the amazing Dorien Morin-van. She has agreed to be my first guest. This is, yeah, I know.
So exciting.
Ready for the crash. Ready for the crash. I go live, I do a lot of videos, but for some reason the LinkedIn Live is just making me kind of nervous. So I'm just excited to be here and really thrilled that you decided to join me. Thank you so much, Dorien. But I just want to say, again, my name is Lisa Danforth. I'm a business strategist and leadership vision coach. I really help develop that clarity of vision and just absolutely love what I do. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to go live with LinkedIn. I'm going to be doing weekly interviews with people and just jumping in and sharing other people's brilliance. Bridget is in. Brigitte, all right. So Dorien, would you just tell us a little bit about you? Dorien is a social media consultant, she works for Social Media Pro, and I'm going to just sort of hand it off to you because you can probably explain it a little bit better than me.
Sure, no problem. So yes, my name is Dorien Morin-van. I have my own company called Morin Media, and as such, Social Media Pro is one of my clients. I'm their community manager as well as their content manager. So I create content for their blog. We have several communities, and in that capacity, Lisa and I have cooperated as she's been my expert on the show for the students, where Lisa's come in and talked about that life balance, work-life balance, and how to attain that, especially as it pertains to social media managers, where we all know social media is 24/7. So how do you do that? So as a social media consultant, I proudly call myself an organic specialist. I dabble in paid, but I'm really strong in organic messaging, marketing. So it's a really fun place to be in. I get to be super creative. I get to think of ideas to talk about. Of course, looking at the data, we kind of know what keywords to hit, but really talk to an audience, communicate with an audience. And as a community manager, getting that feedback from the audience about the product either that I sell or the services that we sell. And it's really been fun. I am one of the few that gets to play on Facebook and gets paid.
That's always a bonus, definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you also took some training, didn't you, in agile marketing? How is that sort of playing into your whole work?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I actually got certified as an agile marketer back in March. Interestingly, I'm working with an agile coach right now to learn more. We're actually kind of like a mentorship. I'm helping her with marketing. She's helping me with agile, because the thing about agile marketing is that even though you understand the principles, in order to be agile, in order to do agile, you have to be agile, right? So even knowing and understanding the principles of what it means, implementing them is a little different. A lot of agile marketing and agile, the framework is about teams. And as a solopreneur, I'm part of teams, but I don't necessarily have this big team of my own. So I'm trying to figure out how this plays into being a solopreneur, being a small agency. And actually what I have found is that by implementing a daily scrum and a weekly, bigger scrum, as we call it, I've been able to regain hours, which is like a weird thing to say.
Hallelujah.
But I've been able to do it. And the secret really is my sticky note system that I learned in my agile marketing class. And one of the things that I love to do as a creative, I love to doodle. So if I'm interviewing somebody or I'm working on a task, I create these doodles. Well, they now live on my wall behind my desk. And I have them lined up Monday through Friday, weekend work, work in progress, long term. And so I create these color-coded stickies. And at the end of the day, it helps me leave. It helps me, I move them to the next day if I don't get things done. But it also gives me a relief of, it's still there, and it empties my mind. It's a weird thing to say, but if you've ever been laying in bed and it's 11 o'clock at night and you're supposed to go to sleep, but you think of all those things in your head that you were supposed to be doing.
Who here has done that?
Yes.
Post in
Mine,
the comments.
mine now, for the first time ever, live on my sticky notes.
Mhm.
So in order to make that system work, there's certain things like, actually today, this was funny, I'll share this. My husband over breakfast said, can you call the exterminator? We have mice in our house in Vermont. And we've already been,
Everyone has mice in their house.
right. So he's already come, but I had a follow-up question, and he texted me about 10 times. Well, every time he texts me, it's 9 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the morning. I can't call somebody at 9 o'clock at night or 7 in the morning. So he said, well, why don't you transfer that text to your sticky note? I'm like, that only works if you send it to my email. Because if it's gone, it's gone. It's gone off of my mind if I read the text and it's gone. But in email, there's a task system that I have. So putting together systems that work, using the agile marketing that I learned in the course, and like I said, I'm working with somebody to really develop it even further, has allowed me to regain hours. So I took on a new client, which was amazing, and I've been able to scale my business. And so just that is what agile marketing has done in the last 5-6 months for me, and it's really truly been amazing. And I hope there's many more big things to come with that. But that's like a takeaway. Even though I've been in business for nearly 10 years, I still was able to implement a new system, be more productive, be more effective, and have that sense of calm, which is really, in social media, it's constant.
That's what I was going to say. You said 24/7. And I have to say, organically, I've worked with a lot of my clients are in the social media industry. And it really is 24/7. It's like real estate as well has sort of organically grown for me. Excuse me, for that exact reason. I work a lot with clarity, overwhelm, productivity, and habits and those types of things. And I just think that 24/7 can be so consuming. So what I really heard you say was that the Scrum equals productivity when you can effectively implement and utilize the Scrum. Can you share a little bit more about exactly what a Scrum is? Because if that's giving you more time on your calendar, I'm sure everyone would like to hear a little bit more about it.
So I'm really going to simplify this. What a Scrum would be is if you have a team where everybody sits together for 5 days, and from a Scrum you make a sprint. So there's all these different, and then there's all these different things. But a Scrum basically is you have a meeting with yourself or your team, and you take your sticky notes and you write down everything, all the tasks that have to be done, either for that day, or if you do a weekly Scrum for that week, everything, and brain dump everything. And then you put them on the wall first. So they're everywhere on the wall. And then you're going to first organize them in importance. And then you're going to organize them in how long they take, long tasks, medium tasks. And then you're going to and organize them in which ones do I think I can get done. And really, one of the ideas about agile marketing is that you can't divide your attention too many different ways. So you really want to have only 3 things going at the same time, work in progress. And the other things are just sitting there. But having that visual of I'm working on these 3 things during the day, in your Scrum, you decide these are the 3 things I'm going to get done. And then being able to, I literally shred them. I have a shredder sitting over there. I take the sticky notes at the end of the day and they go down. They're shredded. They're done. That gives that sense of it's done. So my weekly Scrum, I usually do Sunday night. So then way I can sleep better. I found that Sunday night was my worst night's sleep, right? So I go into my office for like 10 minutes. Do my brain dump. I have things that I might leave up, like on Tuesday and Friday, I need to do these 2 things. On Wednesday, I always have this meeting. I might leave those things up there, but all the things I go through every client, I go through my meetings, my LinkedIn Live, my shows, and I put them all in order. And then I'm going to decide on Monday. So then on Sunday, I'm going to decide Monday, I'm going to do these things. So my Monday is laid out. And then on Monday night, before and at the end of the day, I'm like, tomorrow I'm doing these things. So when I sit down for the day, I know what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to fiddle around and do this or that. And sometimes I'll write down, take an hour lunch. I've done that. Or, do something where, it give yourself permission to, do nothing or to take that break. So, but seeing the task, really putting them down to sending email, checking email at noon every day, or, really breaking it down. I'll just literally take it off the wall, put it on my computer, get the task done, boom, it's done. It's lovely. It's just freeing.
I love everything about what you're saying, because these days I've been so hot on habits, because like I said, it really does impact how we're showing up. So many people are trying to go horizontal and vertical at the same time. And I just want to give a shout out to Kate Payne is in the house. Thanks for the comment.
Hey,
Thanks for
Kate.
joining us.
Hey, Kate.
But so many of us are trying to go horizontal and vertical at the same time. So taking that scrum, creating a habit of slowing down, pausing, and gaining clarity on what it is, the activities that you need to do, the goals that you want to achieve, and then the activities that you want to put into place, allows you to lean into the habits so that you can consistently implement what it is that's going on, kind of creating that storyboard, which is so important.
And identifying the time that you spend on doing nothing, because
distractions.
even though I write down I might take an hour lunch, there's no other stuff in there. There's no fluff in there. So really identifying and it's super helpful to see the line go down. That's part of that, to take the sticky nose off. Yeah.
It releases a chemical in your brain so that you actually want to do more. I mean, who here, post in the comments, and I'm going to admit I've done this, you've got this long to-do list and you actually put something on the list so that you can cross it off because you've already done it. I know when I was in the catering business, I had this lengthy list, and if I did something, I would actually write it down and check it off, because it creates a chemical in your brain that actually motivates you to want to do more.
Yeah, I see Kate saying, I'd give anything to have time to do nothing.
Yeah, especially for you right now, Kate.
But you put that on your calendar, Kate. That's what I have learned, is that
what gets scheduled gets done.
Yeah, so give yourself, have a meeting with yourself and go sit on your deck or sit outside with a cup of coffee for 30 minutes and just do it. So I think that's really, really important to take that time.
I just want to give a shout out to James Tucker. Thank you so much for joining us today on the first live. I'm super excited to have you here. And just to kind of go back to that habits and the clarity, right? You're getting clear on Sunday, what's coming up for the next day. It helps you sleep. It helps you be more productive, helps you have more time. And what I really want to highlight in this is, so often people think that they lack the willpower, they lack the discipline, they lack the resources. But often what we lack is clarity. It's kind of like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It can be so incredibly overwhelming when we're looking at our huge to-do list. But like you said earlier, if you map out your goals, take the time, give yourself the gift of pausing and brain dumping. What are all of your goals? Whether it's because of COVID right now, it's just through the end of the year, not even 10-year goals. Like, where do you want to be at the end of 2020? Put all those goals down, prioritize those goals. Don't bother to prioritize them when they're going down, but take the time to just brain dump everything that you want to have done, accomplished, who you want to be by the end of the year, and then prioritize those, and then create the action steps, which it sounds like that's what you're doing when you're in the scrum, when you're planning it out, you're mapping it out and creating that storyboard. And then you don't have to rely on discipline and willpower, because you know specifically what you're doing and when you're doing it, which is a lot of what gets in the way. And that's when the cat videos on Facebook kind of distract us, right? For me, I always laugh. I'm like, the grout in my bathroom is the cleanest that it's ever been when I have a task that I need to do and I'm trying to avoid.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Agate, is it? Ajat?
Yeah.
Okay, Agat. I'm from Maine, so that Maine accent comes out like not always so great. And Dorien, tell us just for a second, where are you from, and how did you get here? Just share a minute, a bit about that.
Okay, I'm from the Netherlands. Moved to the U.S. When I was 18 as an au pair, and met the love of my life. I've been married to for 31 years.
Share that story for a quick second, because I'm sure everyone would love to hear it. I love that story.
So I came to the U.S. with zero intentions of getting married, but met my husband at the bus stop in Boston. Had a great year. Had a lovely family that I lived with. And then when it came time to go back, he's like, I don't want you to go back. I said, I don't want to go back. So what do two teenagers do? They decide to get married. So 5 days later, we got married at the same bus stop that we met. And I wore a borrowed wedding dress, and there were about 40 guests there, and some people got off the bus and stayed for the wedding, and it was really
for
fun.
the cocktails afterwards.
Right. So what it has done for me is creates a great story, of course. But now that we have 4 children and 3 of
Four
them,
dogs.
Yeah, 3 of the children are adults. We always tell them, don't do what we did. That was literally crazy. But it makes for a great story, and it also illustrates the point that it's not the wedding where people spend $50,000 on a wedding and then get divorced the next year. It's really the marriage that you have to invest time in. And I use that as a metaphor for social media. You can do all these fancy things and all these fancy, but if the meat is not there, if the story, if the marketing, if the product, if the service is not there, and you're doing all these fancy things, it's just not going to work. So, invest.
The intention.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Invest in that.
Oh, I love that story. I thank you for sharing it, because it fills my heart, but it also makes me laugh when I hear that. Met him at a bus stop, married him 5 days later. Look at, I mean, so many years later, it just shows your tenacity, really. And I love how you've integrated that story into your work and into your business, and how important that is. And that's one of the tips that I keep hearing all the time is bring your story, bring yourself, be authentic, bring it all to the table, and that really shows through. And yours absolutely shows.
I love telling stories, and I love finding those little things. So yeah, that's good.
Just want to say, James Tucker says some really good advice on applying agile methodology to social media marketing.
Yeah, still trying to figure that out with the solopreneur versus teams, but there are definitely pieces of that. Working on also learning more about Kanban versus Scrum, and how that works. And a lot of people I've learned combine kind of the two and the best pieces of each. And there's really less rules when you do Kanban, Kanban, whichever way you say it. So I'm learning that. Like I said, I'm working with somebody to get more clarity on that. But since social media is such a multi-task and small task oriented industry, it's really nice to be able to really break them up like that, and to really get that visual of all the things that need to be done. Especially, I mean, at this point, I handle 8 clients, but I've had up to 12, 13. And that means in different industries. So keeping them all straight on different tools and different images and different messaging, there's just a lot. So yeah, having that agile framework to work within has been a game changer for me. It's really skyrocketed for me.
Have a Scrum with each one of your 8 clients
each
week?
No. I do that. I do the Scrum for myself, but I go through on paper each client. So I'll go client A, client B, all the tasks that need to be done that week for that client. The other thing that I do, which helps, is that I batch content creation and content scheduling. So might be, and I have dates hanging behind me, or in front of me, I guess. But it'll be like, this client needs new content by Thursday. So on Monday is my content creation day. That Monday, I better create that content for that client, because on Thursday they've run out. So keeping track of all of that, that's part of my Scrum. I don't want that in my head anymore, and using calendars is great, but you have to actually look at a calendar for it to work. So I know that
that is rather important.
That is important. And I have found that for me, who's very visual and very tactical, that if I see it and I've written it down and it's there, I remember. If I see it on a written down calendar, it does not get absorbed. So everybody has their different methodology of learning. And there are people who can do this whole Scrum online with online tools. You can create a board online. I still don't get it. I still can't doodle. I still have to log in to that tool. Right. So for me, every day I sit at this desk. Every day I look at the same wall. Every day I doodle. So this is, for me, what totally works.
I have something similar on my, it's up, it's called my battle board or my warrior goddess board. And it's my goals, so that I'm looking at my goals and starting each day with intention. And I do, like you, either Sunday or Friday afternoon, I will sit down and map out my following week, but everything I have is visual, so that that allows me to set in the structures to create the habits. And I want to circle back around to habits, a few more habits, because I heard you say you time chunk and whatnot, different ways to support your members and anyone within the social media industry, but also just being able to have that vision so that you can start your day with intention. I just want to say, Agat, she really struggles with switching off. It's really a 24/7 job. Do you recommend any software for agile marketing?
So for me, the biggest switch from when I first started my business, I was on 24/7. So that is something, if you're fairly new into the business, that is something that a lot of people struggle with. So what I started doing is evaluating where I was making money. And I could tell you I wasn't making money on the weekend, and I wasn't making money at night. Those hours, extra hours that I worked, did not make me more money. So then the next piece that I did is I implemented scope of work really well in my contracts with my clients. I set up expectations when I make a proposal where I work during work hours. If something important comes in, I might scan, but the expectation is not going to be that I watch their social media 24/7. There's some part of responsibility that has to lay on the business owner or somebody else within the company that they can identify, because they're not going to pay you for 24/7. So
but they'll be happy to have you work 24/7, right? So they'll treat you how you allow them to. So that's where boundaries, communication, all of that come in. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah. So if you are a business owner, and so this is a client of yours, it's super important to talk to that client as a business owner. And you can say to them, I'm a business owner like you are. I'm assuming you don't work 24/7. And so this is what I can do. I will scan it once on the weekend. I will have notifications set up that if somebody, 3 times or something, they ask a question, that I'll go look at it. Or you can assign somebody in your office, or, after 8:00 at night, I turn my phone off. I mean, be specific about when you're on, when you're not, what you're doing. And when you put that in a proposal, I literally copy and paste that into my contract.
Reasonable support. That's a really great thing to put in there. But here's the trick. When you state there'll be reasonable support, be sure to state and here's what reasonable support looks like, right? So, because reasonable support to you may be 24/7 to them. So if you're putting it in your contract, absolutely outline, here's what what reasonable support is to me, so that it is super clear. That clarity piece is key in anything that you do.
Right. And here's one more tip. And I know a couple people that are watching our social media. Sometimes I put in my contract what I don't do. So because a lot of people just list, I will do XYZ. I will put in there, I am not responsible for photography. I am not responsible for video editing. I might come to your business and shoot video for you, but I am not, this contract that you were signing is not me being responsible for video editing. So, or if you send me an image or send me a video, you'd have to pay me extra to do that. So I'll put in what I'm not responsible for. So if you're struggling with time, you can say, I'm not responsible for monitoring evenings or, after business hours or whichever way, or weekends, so that way you can always go back to the contract when there's an issue, or there's that conflict with that client where they say, well, there was a message and I didn't see it. But put that in there so then you can refer back. Now, if you're working in-house, what you need to do as a social media manager, that you need to find a team member. You need to find somebody else that responsibility doesn't lay on you.
Get yourself a scrum.
Yeah. But get yourself somebody that can help tag team you with you on that. And those are like, Lisa said, reasonable expectations. Not a single CEO, not a single manager, not a single person I know can work 24/7 and can be awake. So reasonable expectations, I think, is a really great way to call it.
And it is so important. And it just above anything. And what you're really stating is our boundaries. And for me, boundaries are the bridge. It's not time management, it's boundary and priority management. And when you stated it so clearly, boundaries aren't about other people. Boundaries are what you're agreeing to and what you're not agreeing to. So when you're saying, here's what this does not include, you're establishing clear, effective, respectful boundaries, which is how you work 8, 10, and maybe sometimes when you're starting out, you work 12 hours. Balance is not, 50-50. It's not 9 to 5. It's what is working for you in the moment. Sometimes we need to work 12 or 15 hours, and sometimes we get to take a 4-day weekend. But it's really what it is for you, and establishing those boundaries so that it's clear to everyone else around you what you're committing to.
Yeah, and I wanted to give a shout out to you, Lisa, because I recently, even though I got all these hours back by doing what I'm doing, because of that, I was able to take on a new client. And when you take on a new client, the onboarding process, that the initial part is going to be crazy. And when I first took on the client, I was working till 11 o'clock. 4 nights a week. I was working at least one full weekend day initially. Okay. There was so much work to be done. That went on for about 3 or 4 weeks. And I kept saying, I know this will change and that balance will shift back to family. And I'm happy to report that on Monday, I closed my office door at 4:40 and I didn't work all weekend. And at 4:40, my tasks were done. So understanding that work-life balance shifts as your business shifts, and understanding there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I just kept thinking there will be an end to this new thing. And whether it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it ended up being 7 weeks, which is fine because it was a big client, I regained that. Now I'm back to, I went hiking last night, and I'm fine and I'm enjoying that. So just if you're out there and you feel that way, just make sure that you go in it knowing that might happen, but have a plan to get out of that. And I think that's what I learned from Lisa.
Thank you. Thanks for this. Clarity is the key. That's where I start all of my clients, is really sitting down, and we start with the clarity. And I'm sharing this because it really is a process. It doesn't matter whether it's your business, leadership, relationships, whatever it may be. You need to start with clarity of yourself, clarity of your business or your leadership style or whatever it is that you're going into. Establish your goals. What is it that you want to achieve? Prioritize those goals, and then you're going to move into the systems that support your goals. Again, it really can be within anything. So if there's something that you're repeating, you're duplicating, you can automate, systematize, delegate, whatever it is, set that up so that you can then see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then know when it is that you're going to be able to sort of take your foot off of the gas. And then the whole thing is boundaries. What really supports that are all of the soft skills, or I like to call them real skills, right? It's the soft skills that are the foundation for all of the work that we do. As being able to establish those boundaries and communicate those boundaries allowed you to take on this new client, knowing that there was an end in sight, and knowing, that the structure and the strategy that you needed to implement.
Yeah, that's great. And I do want to tell Agatha that I would recommend Trello. If you're looking for an agile framework, Trello lets you, and I'm learning it. I'm working with my mentor, but you can create boards, but you can also have, I think, a Kanban view on there. So it has those little tasks on almost like sticky notes. So if you've never used that tool, I would, I'm going to get a private showing of Trello soon and figure it out. And I've set up a couple of boards, but I need to get that demo, that training. But there's a lot of things you can do there. And that's a good task one that's very visual. So if you want to try one out, I would say get Trello.
I love Asana, but that's just I think they're so similar. It's a matter of
Hmm.
which one you sort of start with. And I love the ease of their tutorials.
Yeah.
You can really task it and have different projects. So that's a really great one. I just want to say a big old shout out to Kate that you put in your contract that you're not responsible, the items that you're not responsible for. Totally great.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. So going back to habits, going
Yeah.
back to your time management, you've shared some habits that you implement within your business that you share with your clients. Can you share with us just a couple more habits that have supported not only the success in your business, but also within your personal life as well? Again, like you're gaining back time, you can go hiking.
Yeah. So, for those of you who know me, might know that I'm a runner, and I am a marathon runner. So, the first marathon that I ever trained for was with a friend. And so, 3 weeks, no, about 4 weeks before the marathon, we had a couple of long runs left, and she got sick. And that was that moment of, what am I going to do? And I ended
Mm.
up having to do a 20-mile training run on my own. Um, I'm not a fast runner, so that was going to take me 4 hours by myself running. That was kind of a test kind of thing. Ended up running that marathon, loving it, and then training. I've now done 7, training for 6 more. My biggest tip there is that it's addictive. It's habit forming when you set a goal. So for me, the way it works is that I make up my mind that I'm either out of shape or my business isn't going well because running helps me in my business. I guess I should say that. Having a habit of getting up early, first thing I do is literally put on my shoes, put on my clothes, go out the door and run. Without fully waking up, which is always my tip. I don't have coffee. I don't do anything. I just walk out the door. Then I go run. And the night before I said, I'm going to run 4 miles, 6 miles, 8 miles, 2 miles, whatever it is. I have that in my head. So I'm just going to go do what's in my head. Then that helps me. So then training for these is like, okay, I need to train for something. I put something on my calendar. I go sign up for a race. So there's the goal. I set the goal by paying money. That's a good one. So for those of you in business,
Get in the game.
pay a coach, pay a program, because once you pay, you've got skin in the game. So for me, with running, I pay for a marathon. They're over $100. That's not cheap. Then I go buy a pair of new shoes, usually. So that's another $120, $130. Those are expensive. And then often what helps me succeed along the way is having a training plan. So knowing what I'm going to do. So a week long, this week I'm doing this many miles this day. And then also training with other people. So accountability partner. So really that mimics everything that you could do in your business. You need an accountability partner. You need a mentor who creates that training plan for you, or a coach like Lisa. And then, putting some skin in the game, paying money for it. And that's how I've been able to do it. I have 4 dogs, 4 kids, a business. My husband has a business. We moved. There's so many moving parts to my life. And I'm still able to do this and hike and run and train for these things because I make it a priority, and it's that habit. Find something that you love to do. My husband does not like running in the morning. He runs, but he runs in the afternoon. I can't, if I think about running, I can't do it. I can't. I'd rather get up at 3:30 and get my 20 miles done than wait till 2:00 in the afternoon. Because if I have to think about 20 miles, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And everybody is different that way, but find something that you love to do, and it can be, but I'm telling you, exercise, when my body is tired, my mind is sharp. And I have found that to be true. So if I run in the morning, even if I run on a little bit of sleep or I've been really busy, that invigorates my mind. It gets me sharp, and then I can do better work. So there's been months, there's been up to almost a year where I didn't run. And then I'm like, what's missing from my life? My running, my schedule, my habits. I eat healthier. I drink less coffee. All those things all come together.
Brain clarity, just the brain fog goes away when you're exercising. And I just want to really reinforce what you were saying before, that habit, right? And your identity. We are what we repeatedly do. So when you identify as a runner, you create that habit that supports that identity. So often we're trying to change a behavior without looking at the belief that is underlying that behavior. So when you believe yourself to be a runner, when you believe yourself to be an agile marketer, whatever it may be, that's when you can really implement the habits consistently that's going to support you. And I love the fact that you're like, wait a minute, what's missing from my life? And you got clear on that, and you're like, this is what I need. And it truly does feed every different area of your life. So congratulations. And it's so easy to fall off from it, right? Life gets busy. What you're doing it could literally be 24/7, and you're making a very intentional choice in who you want to be, the business that you want to run, and the relationships that you want to build.
Right. But it's also important to note that when we were going through a big move last year, I didn't run for 3 months, but I recognized what was missing. So then I got back to it. And I've had a broken foot. I've had different things happen where I can't run, but I know that doesn't make me not a runner. I'm a runner who can't run. So I get back to that. And that's 12 years of habit forming of doing. But I also want to point out that it doesn't mean that you're stuck on that. I've discovered hiking. I moved to Vermont last year. Lisa and I are going to go hike soon, one of these weekends. But I have discovered that I can go hike for 6 hours and not really get tired. I love, 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 love it. So I could replace some of my running with hiking. That's okay. It still gives me all the same benefits. So don't get stuck on one thing. That's the other thing I wanted to say, as long as it's comparable to what you were doing, or you find a new love, find that somewhere and put that in, but use the same principles of, make sure you do it. Make sure it's part of that habit,
Put it on the calendar, what gets scheduled, gets done, and really look at. I just did a video yesterday. I posted on LinkedIn on time and consistency. I think it was 2 days ago, and how we value the present more than we value the future. So many people will value that cup of coffee and the slow entry to the morning rather than the long-term benefit of putting on your sneakers, getting out the door, and going for that run. So really look at the habits. Where is time and consistency kind of getting in your way, and where can you switch it so that it's going to support you?
I have never heard that term, and I love it because
isn't it great?
Makes so much sense.
Yeah. I really saw where I was tripping myself up. But in another habit, which is really great to do, and it would benefit in your personal life, in your business as well, is make it easy. Like, here's one example for me that I was wanting to do yoga every morning. I'm getting a little older. I do a lot of sitting. I do, work with my clients online. I do a lot of research online. Now we're networking online, and I really wanted to implement yoga because I was getting very stiff. But I found myself getting up and doing my normal routine, having my coffee. I sit down and I read, I meditate. What I did was I laid my yoga mat in the middle of my living room floor so that I literally had to step over it and roll it up if I wasn't going to do my yoga. So I made it obvious, and I made it hard for me to avoid. I now identify as a person who gets up and does yoga in the morning, and I lay out my mat every single night. That's become the habit. My habit starts the night before.
I do that with my running shoes. I put them on the stairs. Exactly, right? So even if I want to go down and get the cup of coffee, my running shoes are right there. Wait, Doreen. And then the other thing to that is setting your alarm. I mean, on the days that I don't run, I don't set my alarm. I know I'm still going to wake up early because as a runner, running early in the morning, I do that. But most days, setting that alarm at like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night makes that commitment. I'm not going to have a beer tonight. I'm not going to have a glass of wine. I'm running in the morning. I'm not going to stay up late. I'm setting my alarm. I'm running in the morning. It affects all these other decisions that you make by making that commitment to that habit.
That identity piece.
Yep.
So do you have any other tips, tricks, habits, insights to help people in business, but specifically within your industry, the social media industry? Because as we've said, it really is 24/7.
One, I don't know if it's a habit, but make sure that you show up on social media, that you don't not just post and use a scheduler. As a social media manager, you always need to be prospecting for new clients. And what I have found is that almost every single new client that has come to me has come by through relationships like the one I have with Lisa. And so that relationship might not be obvious to you if you're watching this. Like, how do people do that? How do they meet? It doesn't happen on social media. That relationship starts there, but then goes to Messenger, then goes to a phone call, a private Zoom, a meeting. So a lot of these relationships that you see online, people that are bantering back and forth, that that seem to have known each other forever, and you're like, I'm new, how does that work? You start on social, but then you take it off. So I think that's one of the big tips that I can give you. Have a conversation in Messenger, ask a question, offer something, take it to Zoom, and get to know people on a different level. Because
don't sell them first.
And don't sell them anything. But and one of the things that I do, this is a very easy example, is when it's somebody special to me and somebody that I have built a relationship with, and it's their birthday, I never post on their wall. I make a video. I get my phone out and I make a video for them. You say their name, 30 seconds. I don't even watch it back. I just record it and send it through Messenger or LinkedIn. And that video, I have 100% open rate. Just so you know, sometimes you send messages to people, they don't see it, or it goes to email. If you post on somebody's wall and they're important to you and you wish them happy birthday, you're one of 200 or 300 or 400, depending on how many friends they have. But I can guarantee you, when you send them a video in Messenger, they're going to see it, they're going to appreciate it. And that's part of building that relationship. And especially in the social media sphere where everybody's talking but nobody's saying anything, makes a big difference when you actually have something to say.
You and Rich Brooks were the two that sent me a video for my birthday, and you just made my mind explode when you did that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, and it's so personal, and now I do it. It just takes a couple of seconds, and if you do a poor video, you can retake the video, but it really, it is unique, it's different, and I just want to circle back around too, that we actually met because of Rich Brooks, talking about community, talking about building trust. We met at the Agents of Change conference. So when we're networking and when we're meeting people and we're connecting, we're also learning about different conferences, which, let's say, admit, like these days, it's a little more difficult because it is online. We will hopefully be going in person soon enough, but having those connections, staying consistent. You hear about networking events where you can meet people that are very near, that become very good friends. Dorien moved up from South Carolina to Vermont, and it's just so nice to have someone around that I met through social media, through a conference, that lived in another state. It's amazing. And one of my very closest friends, Donna Cravata, I've never met her in person, but we're very, very close because we stay in touch on social media, and that's how you build that community.
Yeah, and part of that is listening, and reading between the lines and finding out if somebody's having a bad day, or and just really reaching out. I have several friends like that who will ping me once a week, every 2 weeks, and say, "Hey, how are you?" And I know that they genuinely want to know how I am. They're really checking in on me, and that makes a difference. That's how you build relationships. That's how I've gotten most of my clients, by having a couple of really, really good relationships online, friends that I can work with that trust me. And so that is, I think, one of the biggest habits, just to reach out, to take time every week, almost every day, to connect with somebody on a personal level, one-on-one, when nobody else watches you, but what you said is private, but that you're building those relationships. Super important.
Connect to the goal that you want to achieve, which is new friends, building your community, but also connect to who you want to be, that future self, future facing, right? So that we can choose to show up as the person that we want to be, and we make different choices from that.
Yep.
I just want to give a shout out to James. He said, great tip on the running. He's going to try to run 10K 3 times a week. It's difficult, but getting there.
Wow.
Muzzle tov, James.
James, we should talk running.
I was proud of 15 minutes on yoga.
Yeah, that's a lot. I hope you've got to do some short sprints and some fast track running and do some longer ones. And my biggest tip for running is run with somebody that you like. I write.
Hard to run with someone although you
Well,
run faster
or
than the
run
person you
alone,
don't.
or somebody that, yeah. So I have had several marathon training partners, and I will talk 4 hours recipes, talk about food, because by the time you're done running, you're really hungry. But we exchange recipes. We talk about families. Right now, my running partner is my daughter, who's home from college, and it's special. It's special to run with somebody that you can talk to. And so I run slow enough to talk, just so you know, because I really, really like talking. But that makes part of building that habit doable, right? If you're running with somebody that you like. So James, if you're running by yourself and you're finding that hard to do, then my task for you would be to find somebody else in the community that has similar goals, that might want to run. Go join a running group. You can even join a virtual running group, or find somebody at the local running store if there's one near you that might be running. You can go to meetup.com. There might be a running group. But I started out running just the long runs with other people, like Saturday long runs, 6 a.m. You know how many crazies are out there at 5:30 or 6 a.m. running like 20 miles every weekend? Tons of them.
I hear them when I'm having my coffee.
Yes. So, but find that group and go in that group, and you'll find somebody within the group that you end up liking and running with, that's close to your pace. And, I think that is my best tip. That'll get you motivated to go out the next Saturday morning, and the next and the next and the next. And then knowing, if you're in a training program together, knowing that other people are getting up on Wednesday at 5 a.m. to run that same 6 miles as you, even if you're not together, that also helps you. And carrying that through to business, being in a program where other people are learning the same things. It's a group coaching program. You have assignments, you have homework. Knowing that other people are doing the same and working on the same part of their business is going to help motivate you to keep going.
Beautiful. Thank you. Great. Hey, do you have a few extra minutes? I noticed that someone is in the green room. Now, I'm not sure if I know how to add them or not.
Yes.
Can we try?
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
Bridget, if you are on, I'm hitting adding to the stream. Let's see. Oh, there we go.
Hey, how are you?
You're muted. Can I unmute you? Oh,
I think she might need to unmute.
I unmuted myself. There you go.
Hey,
amazing,
thank you for joining us.
I'm here with my new puppy.
Great. Hello.
A lot of good tip. I really enjoyed. Okay, hold on. I really enjoyed listening to all of this. That's why I was not on video, because the dogs are attacking me right now during lunchtime.
Dorien has 5, so she probably.
I know.
4.
Yeah,
4. She has an amazing your business, your office view. That's what. I love that.
Yeah. They love right now. They love the deck. It's cool in the mornings, cool at night. So their sun during the day on the deck. I put all the dog beds out there, and they just kind of line up, and they absolutely love it. So being here, I mean, they're used to 100-degree weather and getting their claws stuck on the asphalt almost. So this is a whole different thing.
But I have to say, having dogs make you move more. So that's good for me. That's having my dogs, and makes me walk more and go outdoor.
Hey, actually, that's a really good tip for people that are watching that don't have good habits. Think about the habits that you already have. If you have a cat or a dog, you have to feed them. You have to water them. Those are habits. Those are daily things that you've added to your life that you can't do without. So if you want to add to that, do that daily walk and say, my dog needs, 2 miles a day, and make that commitment.
There's a lot of stuff I'll do because the dogs need to do it. But if it was just me by myself,
True. No, I think that's actually a really, really good point.
Do you two know each other?
We met. I don't know how we met online, but she's in Vermont too.
Yes.
All three of us are from Vermont. You're both in the social media world, and you both are foodies.
Yes.
And you too, Lisa.
Yes. Well, 15 years of catering. I kind of like food.
Yeah, we met online through, I saw a post. I think you were hiking in Vermont, and I had seen you on the social media Facebook page, and we connected.
Yeah.
And then
We haven't met yet.
No. And then we saw we had Lisa in common. So I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, if it weren't for COVID, we'd all be out having barbecues and summer get-togethers. I haven't been to Burlington since February. I want to get up there and do things, but we're just waiting for things to get better.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, that would be good. So,
Cool.
yeah.
So, Bridget, what was your best takeaway with all of the tips and information that
The
Dorien?
sticky notes. It's like, it's easy, not complicated. I'm Trello, Asana. I know, Lisa, you talked to me about that in the past. And I'm like, I'm learning so many things that sticky notes, simple, I can do that. So that's my biggest one of the takeaway that I will implement.
Go on Amazon after this and order them. I mean,
I have them.
You have them. Okay. I didn't have any. I came home.
Use them.
I came home from my agile marketing workshop and I had 0 sticky notes. I'm like, where have they been my whole life? I had none. I never used them.
I have steps.
Yeah.
Well, I ordered the mega thing from Amazon. I've already ordered a second one. And so I now use them in my kitchen for my family. Here's really, this is funny. One of my clients is in the agile sphere, and that's why I took the agile marketing course, but she said to use it in the family. And so, you know how when you have a family get together and everybody says to you, what can I do to help in the kitchen? Say it's Thanksgiving, and you don't know what to give them. So you do tasks. And then you'd say to do, work in progress, done. And you put them on your cupboards. So the first list is all the things that need to get done to get Thanksgiving on the table. And when people come in the kitchen, say, how can I help? Go take a task. Put it in work in progress. You take a sticky note and have them move it to work in progress. So empty the dishwasher. They'll come back to you, say it's done. I'm like, go get the next task. And then move them around. And everybody has a visual. We can't eat until everything is done. And it's really, and so you don't become that slave driver, that like telling everybody you got to do this and this and this. You enable people, you enable them to succeed and to choose. So that worked really well. Then I did that. And then the other thing I implemented was, I don't know if either of you live with men, but the men in my life can't find anything.
Yeah.
Ever. So they can't find anything. So I labeled all my cupboards with sticky notes, what was in them. And this was right before kids came home for Christmas and brought friends home. So it literally said coffee mugs, coffee maker, plates, silverware. I labeled everything. So strangers could walk into my kitchen, strange college students, and make themselves coffee, breakfast, macaroni and cheese. There's my pans. I gave them full control and I sat back. And one night I watched a kid eat a bunch of stuff out of my fridge, was still hungry, saw that there was mac and cheese, boiled water and made himself a meal. And I didn't have to do anything. And it was because the sticky notes were there and then also enabled people to put things back where they belonged. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot. It's more than just using it in business. If you start using that system, that idea of enabling people to take tasks and then own them, really, because that's really what it is. You own that task. You take it from to do to work in progress. Huge. And
I love that. My husband knows where all the stuff is, but for weekend chores, instead of just writing a list on paper, because I'm the queen of the list, I'll do sticky notes.
Yeah, put it in the kitchen. Put it in a place where you're going to sit have breakfast and then work in progress. We're going to move this around. So yeah, it works.
Good. I love sticky boards, like sticky notes. And I create that storyboard no matter what it is that I'm doing. If it's a talk I'm talking about or a new program or whatever, sticky notes are the best.
Yeah.
Nice color coded.
Yeah.
I'm a little type A, so I like the structure. Oh no, that goes in the blue file, not the orange file.
One thing I like about the sticky notes is, like, if you're doing a presentation, also like a live Facebook Live or in something live, just having the sticky note on top of your computer, laptop next to the camera, you can go and
Look at the
refer,
camera, right?
yes, and refer fast of your bullet points. I'm a big
Yeah.
bullet point girl, so
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
One of the tricks I can tell you is have a sticky note, make a little hole in it like this, and put it right here. Let me see how it works. Put it right over the camera,
Oh
like
my
right
gosh.
A
here,
little smiley face.
and put a smiley face on it, and then you know exactly where to look when you're talking to people in the camera, and you don't forget to do that. Instead of looking at you, you look at the
Yes.
camera because your sticky note's right there.
Oh,
That is a
Another
great
great tip.
habit to
Oh,
implement.
brilliant.
I have to say, it is, I find that it's a little difficult because we've gone completely virtual, that I want to look at the person. I want to look them and eye to eye so that you can have a deeper connection. So that is a struggle that I'm getting better at, but that is great because it directs your eye up towards it. But
Yeah.
for me, being virtual all the time, I love looking in someone's eyes because it gives me a little bit deeper connection, whereas I feel like I'm just sort of staring off into space right now.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
All
All
right,
right,
ladies.
ladies.
I gotta go too. So
Thank you.
it's
Thank
nice
you. I just want to
meet
thank
you.
everyone for attending. I want to really ask you, what is it that you took away? What is your biggest takeaway, the biggest habit? When will you implement it? And what are the tools, the structures that you need in order to implement all of these amazing things that Doreen shared today? And then I just want to say, to your success. All right.
yay. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.